Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Flame Emperor episode number 244 based on novel. So let's start. This Jade Legacy is so reckless. If it weren't for his supernatural strength or some confidence, I'm afraid it wouldn't be like this. But he may not know. The Frost Ancient Ape is not only a representative of strength, even after using its own ability Frost, its defense power will rise to a higher level, and ordinary attack methods are useless to it. Xiao Yan looked at it. The jade relics in the sky and the Frost Ancient Monkey, who was woken up by sleeping on the water, looked extremely angry. Both of them were evenly matched. Humph. Humanity. I hate others ruining my sleeping time the most in my life. Frost Ancient Ape Beast Tong looked extremely angry, with a rather tyrannical aura in his tone, which was close to Jade Legacy. Soul beasts and demon beasts are from the same lineage, but they are called differently in the human world and the ghost world, and after the soul beasts reach Dozian's strength, they have wisdom that is no weaker than that of humans, so it is quite a bit of a mouthful to speak. Is normal. Stop talking nonsense, you admit defeat, or I will kill you, Yu Feng said in a high and sub-zero tone. Humph. The 3-star fighting immortal powerhouse is indeed tyrannical, but you forgot that this is my territory, Frost Ancient Ape said disdainfully. As soon as the voice fell, the body of the Frost Ancient Ape suddenly jumped, and it appeared on the horizontal plane in an instant, and walked on it. This guy can actually step on the horizontal surface. Could it be from the water system? Yu Feng was surrounded by the sky with the power of the Cyan Wind attribute, staring at the Frost Ancient Ape. The Frost Ancient Ape had just stepped on the horizontal surface, but without any pause, its huge arms suddenly fell into the water, and immediately brought up a sky-shattering water column with a size of several tens of meters, attacking the Jade Legacy Wind. Go! Those water columns were injected with the unique power of Frost Ancient Ape, with extremely terrifying fluctuations, and blasted away at the Jade Legacy Wind. Small worm carving trick. Yu Feng snorted coldly, not in a hurry. The cyan hurricane all over his body suddenly spun at a high speed, and then there was an extremely terrifying spatial fluctuation, and the water column with terrifying attack power was easily resolved in an instant. It's interesting. Frost Ancient Ape couldn't help but be shocked when he saw this scene. Its own strength is comparable to that of a human being in the late stage of the 2-star Dozian, but the strength of the human being in front of him is too terrifying. Power of Frost. The next moment, Frost Ancient Ape didn't hesitate and called out loudly. This guy. Yu Feng had just cracked the attack of the Frost Ancient Ape, and when he was about to attack, he was only shocked by the scene of the Frost Ancient Ape. I saw that the huge body of the Frost Ancient Ape that originally set foot on the horizontal surface turned out to be a layer of silver ice faintly appearing. The silver ice layer protects his entire body, like a fully armed warrior. The Frost Ancient Ape's defensive power is already tyrannical. After using Frost, the Frost Ancient Ape's defense power is at a higher level. The Wind attribute destructive power is really good, but I am afraid it is on the Frost Ancient Ape's territory. Xiao Yang hid above the branches, watching the battle in the field slowly opened its mouth. Damn, careless. Seeing that the Frost Ancient Ape was fully armed in an instant, Yu Feng couldn't help but curse it secretly. Originally, the Frost Ancient Ape in the late 2-star fighting immortal stage could kill him with one hit, but now it will waste a lot of time to display such a tyrannical defense. After the Frost Ancient Ape cast Frost, his huge hands slammed on his chest, roaring all over the sky, wanting to fight Yu Feng to the death. Beast, come on. Yu Feng's expression changed when he saw this, and then the dazzling blue fighting spirit slowly condensed in his hands, and an extremely terrifying fluctuation slowly brewed. Frost Sword Rain. Frost Ancient Ape roared, and immediately below the water surface, countless water droplets emerged. After these water droplets emerged, they turned into sharp ice swords under the gaze of the two, and then the speed skyrocketed. Facing the wind of jade relics above the sky, there are thousands of them. If an ordinary powerhouse encounters such a scene, I am afraid it is easy to be stabbed into a hornet's nest. Ha ha ha. It's good, I'll let you taste the fluctuations of the wind. Wind 1,000 blades. Yu Feng looked up at the sky full of ice swords attacking, and laughed loudly, and then the cyan battle chi in his hand instantly condensed into a huge rectangular wind blade, directly facing the place where the Frost Ancient Ape was located below. Throw it away. Yu Feng's attacks were all condensed on his right hand. The dazzling wind attribute vindictiveness was compressed to the extreme, and a harsh sound of breaking wind emerged, even under the control of Yu Feng's attack, that everywhere along the way, there was a slight vibration in the space. Boom boom boom. The ice sword and the rectangular wind blade instantly attacked together. But unexpectedly, the terrifying energy contained in the thousands of ice swords was easily pierced by the wind blade, and after the wind blade pierced through the ice swords one after another, the momentum and strength did not, even if it weakened in the slightest, it still blasted away at the Frost Ancient Ape below. This guy is so strong. Looking at this scene, the Frost Ancient Ape couldn't help but said. Yue Feng's wind blade was undoubtedly compressed to the extreme by him. In addition, the strength to suppress the Frost Ancient Ape was too much, so there was such a situation of crushing. The Frost Ancient Ape, die for me. After seeing how easily those ice swords were pierced, Yue Feng shouted. Although your strength is stronger than mine, don't underestimate my defense. After the Frost Ancient Ape said tilde, he did not evade, and let the wind blade attack directly, as if he wanted to rely on his own flesh. The tyrannical power is combined with the defense of frost, and it takes over the wind blade of the Jade Legacy. That's what you want. When Yue Feng saw this, he suddenly squeezed his palm, and the speed of the wind blade suddenly increased, and it fell directly on the body of the Frost Ancient Ape at a speed that was imperceptible to the naked eye. Bang bang bang! The terrifying wind blade hit the body of the Frost Ancient Ape, but there was no progress, but the wind blade kept making a rather serious noise on the ice layer outside the Frost Ancient Ape's body. Ha ha ha. The 3-star fighting immortal powerhouse is nothing more than that. Realizing this scene, Frost Ancient Ape couldn't help but burst into laughter. It's too late to laugh now. And Yue Feng also laughed. Just as the voice of Yue Feng fell, the wind blade suddenly enlarged rapidly in the beast pupil of Frost Ancient Ape, and finally exploded in the next moment. Boom boom boom. With such a close-range explosion, there was nothing he could do if the Frost Ancient Ape's defensive power was tyrannical. The dazzling flame storm is direct, and the vitality of the Frost Ancient Ape is weakening at a rapid speed. It's over. Yue Feng clapped his hands and said to Xiao Yang below, "This Jade Legacy really has a second chance." Xiao Yang said softly in his heart, and immediately came up to greet him. Now that the guardians of the 10th floor have been defeated, it is time to harvest the spoils. Captain Yu is really a good trick. Xiao Yang jumped down from not far away and said to Yue Feng, "With the strength of our team, the 10th and 9th floors should not be difficult. The purpose of our trip should be the 8th floor." Yue Feng smiled slowly. While the two were talking, the energy at the center of the explosion slowly dissipated, but at the center of the explosion, the figure of the Frost Ancient Ape had disappeared, leaving only a wriggling dark mouth. That's... Xiao Yang stared at the dark mouth and couldn't help but say, "Through perception, I found that the dark mouth turned out to be the exit of this space. That's the exit. The Frost Ancient Ape was obliterated by me. This is the 10th floor and it is considered a successful challenge. Go and call everyone, and then leave together. Then collect the spoils, and you'll be on the 9th floor." After Yue Feng finished speaking, he also headed for the place where the large army was. "Captain, the two of them have been gone for so long and haven't come back, will they?" "No, Land Monkey, you are agile, you can go and see." Among the remaining people, no matter in terms of strength or temperament, Razor is undoubtedly the most majestic, Razor said slowly. "Okay." The Land Monkey didn't delay when he heard the words, got up and headed towards the place where Yue Feng and the two disappeared. "Who?" And the Land Monkey just walked a few steps, and suddenly shouted at the front, because an extremely tyrannical wave was slowly attacking in front of him. "My own person." After being drank by the Land Monkey like this, a hearty voice also appeared. "Xiao Yang." "Captain." After a while, two familiar figures also slowly entered the eyes of the Land Monkey, and the Land Monkey exclaimed, "The guardian of the 10th floor has been dealt with, let's go." Yue Feng said to the people behind him, "Have you solved it?" When Liu Qing heard the words, her beautiful eyes flickered slightly. However, the rest of the Eagle Eye team were not too surprised. After all, this is only the 10th floor. The Guardians are basically 2-star fighting immortals. 4 Jade Legacy Feng, 3-star fighting immortal strength, it is naturally simple. Go! Everyone nodded, and then headed towards the dark mouth above the ocean, where it was the teleportation point to leave the Guardian space. Guru! With a sound, the entire group left here, and the dark mouth closed instantly. "This ice and fire island is really strange," Yu Xiaoye said. The group had just left the strange space on the 10th floor, and suddenly appeared in the passageway that used to be radiant, and they didn't know where to go. "I am afraid that there is a dangerous place connected to this ice and fire island. The guardian of the 10th floor of Ice and Fire Island appeared from that dangerous place. And every time you defeat a layer of guardians, you will be given a treasure with a certain challenge. These kinds of things also create the mystery of Icefire Island. But if you want to investigate clearly, I'm afraid you have to enter the first floor, Yu Yifeng said slowly. The first floor? Xiao Yang frowned when he heard the words. Obviously, when Yu Yifeng talked about the first floor, he clearly noticed a trace of fear on the latter's face. What kind of powerful creatures are there in the first layer? Furthermore, this ice and fire island is probably not as simple as it seems. Xiao Yang thought slightly in his heart. Forget it. Not to mention the first floor of Ice and Fire Island, even any guardian in the first 3 floors can easily tear all of you. So you can guess the strength of the villains imprisoned on the first 3 floors. Their power is enough to command the world. Even if you use the power of the Holy Flame Fenju or even the power of the clan mark, I'm afraid it is not their opponent. Of course, if you lead out the 10 Temple Yama in your clan's pattern, that's another story. At the end of the sentence, the Master of Soul Eater seemed to think it was inappropriate and said Zaidu. The first 3 floors. Those guardians and imprisoned villains, shouldn't they be stronger than your predecessors, right? Xiao Yang laughed immediately after hearing this. Boy, don't underestimate my Soul Eater. If I return to the peak, these guys are not worthy of my shoes. The Lord of Soul Eater hurriedly explained. The spoils of war are ahead. Just as the Lord of Soul Eater landed, the voice of Yu Yifeng came from the front. When everyone heard the words, they followed them slowly, then turned around a few corners, and a golden treasure box appeared in front of everyone in an instant. Is this the trophy? Xiao Yang said slightly. Shui Yu, you go open. And Yu Yifeng didn't want to waste time and said directly. Their Yu family is not low on the eastern continent of the Ghost Realm, but this time they went to the Ice and Fire Island to rescue a certain layer of imprisoned wicked people. The big man above directly named them. Even if their Yu family has a good relationship with the Holy See, I am afraid they will not. People can keep them. Everything is up to you. Good. Shui Yu agreed, and then quickly walked towards the golden treasure chest. Squeak. Shui Yu came to the treasure chest without expending any extra strength. She gently touched the treasure box with her palms, and then lifted her hands gently, and the treasure box was opened immediately. What good things are there? The land monkey on the side couldn't help but ask. The last time they were not fully prepared, just by defeating the guardians on the 10th floor, they got the ground dragon blood crystal and other items. A scroll. Shui Yu did not have any joy, frowned, staring at the sheepskin scroll standing quietly inside the treasure chest, not knowing what to do for a while. Scroll. Xiao Yang didn't have many plans at first. After all, he was only a thug at best, and naturally there was no need to fight with these people, but after Shui Yu said this, he immediately became interested. Scroll. Everyone heard the words and walked up slowly, trying to find out. It's really a scroll. But the aura on this scroll is too tilde, could it be incomplete? Razor's eyes were vicious, and he naturally revealed the secret at a glance. I don't think so. This scroll is a bit like a fighting technique. Yu Yifeng was also at a loss for a while. Obviously, based on his experience, he didn't know what it was. This thing is a fire attribute fighting skill. Why don't you give it to me? And Xiao Yang also laughed heartily from the side. Fire-type fighting skills? When everyone heard the words, they fell silent for a while. Okay, I'll give you this. Yu Yifeng, after checking it 3 times, found that there was nothing special about the scroll, so he laughed. Since that's the case, then I'm welcome. Seeing this, Xiao Yang gently wrapped the sheepskin scroll in flames, and then carefully put it into his collection ring. After doing all this, Xiao Yang couldn't help but laugh his teeth out. What kind of fire attribute fighting skill is this sheepskin scroll? This is clearly a wood attribute defensive fighting skill. Xiao Yang now has all the means of attacking, but he lacks the means of defense. Obtaining this thing in this way is tantamount to adding wings to a tiger. The reason why this wood attribute fighting skill scroll is bleak is because only when it is stimulated by the power of wood attribute fighting immortals can it radiate its light to the greatest extent. It takes time to master this wood attribute fighting skill. Xiao Yang, who has fire and wood attributes, is tantamount to being invincible in the same rank. When the things are put away, let's go. Yu Yifeng watched Xiao Yang put away the scroll and spoke slowly. I don't know what kind of wicked people are imprisoned in the 10th floor. As a light attribute, Liu Qing has an inexplicable disgust towards the passage. I am afraid that the aura of the wicked in the 10th floor makes her feel uncomfortable. Moreover, she naturally wouldn't compete with Xiao Yang for scrolls. Her identity and background were quite strong. As long as she stretched out her hand, she would be caught. Let's go, I can't get around it anyway, just to let you see it. Yue Feng was not surprised when he heard the words. Jade Legacy had indeed concealed it from Xiao Yang before, and after defeating the Guardian and revealing the spoils, the passage would lead directly to the prison of the wicked at the current level. And if you want to enter the next floor, you must enter from the place where the wicked are imprisoned on the upper floor. Who? Everyone sorted out, and then with the help of the light in the passage, Zaidu moved towards the depths, but the gloomy and strange winds were blowing from the depths, which made everyone's hearts raw cold. There's another stone gate here. After a while, everyone advanced for a while, and they came to a stone gate. Above this stone gate, there is such a tyrannical seal energy. Xiao Yang stood in the center of the team, looked at the stone gate with vigilance, and said, "Strange, after we entered the 10th floor, we didn't encounter such a stone gate." The land monkey on the side couldn't help but said, "After they defeated the guardians of the 10th floor, the wicked imprisoned in the 10th floor was only a man whose strength reached the peak of Dodi. This man's personality and strength are quite good, and when he was young, he was once the favored son of a certain sect, but he was helpless to be provoked by the traitors, and the disciples of the same sect and his own brothers and sisters were all slaughtered. He stayed, so he alerted the top of the ghost world, so he was arrested by Da Neng and detained in Ice and Fire Island. The seal on this stone gate is extremely strong and cannot be forcibly removed. Otherwise, the power of the seal on it is enough to seal the power of all of us. Let me take a look." Xiao Yang looked serious as he watched several people gearing up for action. Said, "Okay." Shui Yu and the others actually had no idea for a while, but Xiao Yang opened his mouth and agreed happily, then took a few steps back to make a way for Xiao Yang. "I'll take a look, too." At the next moment, Liu Qing also walked gently and came to Xiao Yang's side, but Xiao Yang didn't realize that Liu Qing was deliberately approaching him, as if he had a plan. As a result, the figures of Xiao Yang and Liu Qing were outside the stone gate. The figures overlapped, and they seemed to overlap under the light in the passage, like a bunch of immortal couples that were enviable. Ouch! Not long after, Xiao Yang was about to explore Shemen, but there was a burst of heart-wrenching pain from his chest. "What's wrong?" Seeing this, Liu Qing couldn't help but ask. Just when he approached Xiao Yang, he wanted to use some things to find out which holy flame was in Xiao Yang's body. It was just approaching, and Xiao Yang screamed, "Hey, it's fine." After Xiao Yang finished speaking, he deliberately kept some distance from Liu Qing, and the pain in his chest slowly disappeared. And at the chest is the position of Shenyang heart. That Shenyang heart was transformed by Mu Yingying. The severe pain that just emerged seems to be because Liu Qing is too close to him. Shenyang heart feels abnormal, as if Mu Yingying looked jealous when Liu Qing was too close to Xiao Yang, which made Xiao Yang feel helpless. The power of the seal above the stone gate is actually arranged according to a special law. Liu Qing saw that his plan had failed, so he did not deliberately go again, but looked at the looming light above the stone gate. "Slightly open your mouth. I have a way." "You all retreat a little bit." Xiao Yang finished speaking, closed his eyes, and then lightly touched the stone gate with his hand. As soon as he touched the stone gate, he suddenly felt cold, but fortunately, Xiao Yang had holy flame, so it was not a big problem. "Break it for me." After a while, Xiao Yang's huge soul power found out the law of the seal energy above the stone gate. It disappeared slowly at a speed visible to the naked eye. "This guy." Seeing this, everyone couldn't help but admire Xiao Yang even more. Boom. In just a few breaths, the stone gate was completely opened by Xiao Yang. "Let's go." Seeing the shemen opening, Xiao Yang immediately laughed, and as soon as he finished speaking, everyone entered the shemen directly and headed for the depths. Tick-tock. Behind the stone gate, the sound of dripping water was extremely harsh. "Yes, is someone here?" And in the deepest part, there was an expectant voice. "There is a sound." The source of the sound just now was naturally discovered by Xiao Yang, and he immediately led the crowd towards the place where the sound originated. "Is this the villain on the 10th floor?" Everyone came to the depths of the 10th floor with ease, and what they saw immediately surprised them. What caught their sight was a dark and straight passage. In the center of the passage, a huge stone appeared, followed by a little girl about 10 years old. The little girl was imprisoned on an incomparably huge boulder, and the boulder exuded an invisible power that completely suppressed the power of the little girl. The little girl's complexion is quite delicate, and her beautiful hair is quite soft with the skirt. Will this be too cruel? But when Liu Qing saw this scene, Liu Qing frowned and said a little distressed. It's easy to sympathize that a little girl around 10 years old would be imprisoned here, without the light of day. Big brother, can you let me out? This strange stone has caused me so much pain. The little girl looked at Xiao Yang, pretending to be pitiful, because she knew that among this group of people, only Xiao Yang could save her. This guy's strength has actually reached the early stage of one-star fighting immortals. Xiao Yang didn't notice when the little girl said so, but now he noticed that the 10-year-old little girl in front of him had the same strength as himself. Exactly the same. Don't be fooled by the appearance of everything. Although I don't know what this guy did, the people who can be imprisoned in the Ice and Fire Island are all wicked people who do all kinds of evil. Yu Yifeng said slowly. Let's go. Don't worry about him. The next moment, Xiao Yang spoke directly, obviously sensing that something was not right with the little girl. Dashu, I know where the person you are looking for is. Are you sure you won't save me? The little girl's hands and feet were all tied to the boulder, and the corner of her mouth slowly smiled at Yu Yifeng. Her smile was full of jokes. And as the little girl said this, the Jade Legacy who was about to enter the next floor also turned around and looked at the little girl. It's unfounded. How can you make me believe you? Yu Yifeng turned his head and asked the little girl. Obviously, after entering Icefire Island, the Icefire Island is too mysterious. If this little girl is willing to help them, then their confidence will be even greater. After all, this little girl has been imprisoned for a long time, so she must know about Icefire Island. More than yourself. I have been imprisoned here for hundreds of years, and I just want to be released. As for the uncle, if you are afraid that I have bad intentions, you can ask this big brother to set a layer of soul coating on me. If I have any bad thoughts, I am afraid I can't escape your palms. The little girl said seriously. Looking at it looked like he wanted to use Xiao Yang and his party to help him get out of trouble, so as to help them in exchange. Is this okay? Yu Yifeng asked Xiao Yang. Yes. Xiao Yang also smiled, then stared at Yu Yifeng. This little girl must have been imprisoned for a long time, and why does she still look like she is about 10 years old? Also, this little girl can see through the purpose of the Jade Legacy with just one glance. I am afraid that it is not as simple as it seems on the surface. Little brother Xiao Yang, if you have time to work, put a layer of soul plating on her body, and then help her free herself from bondage. Yu Yifeng said to Xiao Yang. The so-called soul coating is a tyrannical defense method set up by using the power of the soul to enter the body of others. Once others have any plans, the terrifying fluctuations generated by the soul coating directly attack the origin of the soul, which can easily penetrate its soul, thereby obliterating it. Big brother, take it easy, I'm afraid of pain. Seeing Xiao Yang slowly coming to his side, the little girl bound by the boulder looked innocent. Be careful, some people seem harmless to humans and animals, but often this type of person is the most dangerous. There is no good person who can be imprisoned in the Ice and Fire Island. Don't be fooled by superficial phenomena. The master of Soul Eater did not forget to instruct Xiao Yang. Senior, don't worry, I have my senses. Xiao Yang released his soul power and went towards the little girl's body in order to plant a layer of soul to restrain the little girl. At the same time, he was distracted and alerted the surroundings. If anything went wrong, it will start instantly. Time passed, and the next moment was 5 minutes. How is it? Seeing Xiao Yang open his eyes, the figure next to him couldn't help but ask. I have set up a soul coating in her body. Once she has any strange behavior, I will directly detonate the soul coating. Even if she is strong, she will be seriously injured in an instant. Xiao Yang said. Big brother, now that you're ready, will you help me get rid of this bondage? The little girl's face was a little ugly. It was obvious that the soul plating that Xiao Yang had set up just now had some impact on her. Haha, no hurry. The boulder that binds you is filled with the power of a huge soul seal, but your soul power is extremely weak. I'm a little curious about your background. Xiao Yang said with a smile. Let's talk about it. Seeing this, Yu Yifeng also smiled. You people are really abominable. Hearing this, the little girl could not wait to eat Xiao Yang and Jade Legacy. Just now, he gave up resistance, and Xiao Yang easily set up the soul plating. Now that there is a threat from the soul plating, the little girl did not dare to disobey them. My name is Luine, and I am a practitioner of the water system. I heard that my parents died when I was a child, but I have never seen my biological parents since I was born. I was sent to an academy since I was born and raised by a certain teacher. Later, because of my good talent, it was sent to our local big family. But I don't think so. The son of that big family is actually a beast, and he has bad thoughts about me. Afterwards, I learned by chance and coincidence that my parents' deaths were all planned by them. Later, I practiced hard and practiced. Finally, one day, my strength broke through Dozian, thus destroying all 797 members of their family. Kill. After killing them, I went to the Dongju super sect to surrender, and those old guys sealed me here. The little girl said pitifully. Then what happened to your 10-year-old appearance? Shueyu also became curious. This is a rare medicinal herb that I accidentally ingested when I was young. After the little girl finished speaking, a trace of pain appeared on her face. When everyone heard the words, they couldn't help feeling sympathy, but they didn't say anything. Only Xiao Yang and Yu Ifeng smiled vaguely. This guy, it's really a lot of lies. But with the legacy of Jade, I want to see what tricks you can do. Xiao Yang smiled inwardly. Let her out. Yu Ifeng said at the same time. Okay, pay attention, I will suppress the power of the seal on this giant stone, and you will come out with the help of the weakened seal. Xiao Yang finished speaking and walked towards the giant stone in an instant. Just approaching the blue boulder, an inexplicable and tyrannical force of confinement slowly spread out. Under this force of confinement, Xiao Yang's power was greatly restricted. Soul power. Xiao Yang didn't waste any time, and immediately shouted. The dazzling soul power was like a vast ocean, leaning directly towards the blue boulder. Crash. The sound of the water slapped incessantly, and then the little girl's body actually became transparent. The next moment, with a puff, she easily broke free from the shackles of the blue boulder, and immediately fell to the ground. I'm finally free. The little girl looked at the blue boulder and Xiao Yang, couldn't believe it, and said excitedly. The little girl just said that it is true only if she ingests the medicinal materials by mistake and remains around 10 years old, and the rest are false. But just after being freed from the bondage, the little girl didn't do anything. After all, her strength is too weak. If she reveals her purpose too early, I am afraid that she will be instantly obliterated by these people in front of her, not to mention that Xiao Xiao is still in her body. Soul plating under fire seeds. Humph. Your purpose this time is actually to save the people of the Ghost Kingdom. But my purpose is similar to yours. When I fought with the guy on the 6th floor, my soul power was seriously injured, but as long as I can swallow his soul source, then my soul power will be restored to its original state. It's better to follow this group of people first. After all, their purpose is the 8th floor, and mine is the 7th floor. Now my state is not as good as before, and following them can reduce some of the battles. Susu. The little girl had just landed, and she was thinking quickly in her head. Now, is it time to say something about that guy? Yu Ifeng laughed as he watched the little girl land on the ground. That's natural. The guy you want to save is on the 8th floor, and the guardian who guards the 8th floor is a soul beast whose strength is comparable to that of a human 3-star Dodi. The little girl said slowly with a silver bell-like voice. What? On the 8th floor? A soul beast whose strength is comparable to that of a human being's 3-star battle of immortals? But listening to the little girl's understatement, everyone present couldn't help frowning. The reason why the 10th floor is so simple is because there is Jade Legacy, a powerhouse in the middle stage of the 3-star fighting immortals, but the 9th floor may not be so easy. As for the 8th floor, it will undoubtedly be more difficult. After all, Ice and Fire Island is more difficult as it goes down. I won't lie to you. I have used my soul power to go to these floors, so I am clear. The little girl Luine said slightly. Then, let's go. The entrance is here, let's go to the 9th floor first. Shueyu found a passage not far from the blue seal boulder and said, I want to follow you. Seeing Yu Ifeng and the others moving quickly, Luine couldn't help but open her eyes and said slowly to Xiao Yang and the others. Don't follow us, since you are free, then go out by yourself. Yu Ifeng snorted coldly and said, obviously, the people who can be imprisoned in the Ice and Fire Island are all villains, I can't believe it. I was imprisoned here. Unlike you, I can't come and go freely. I can only follow you as a challenger. If I fail, I will be teleported out. Luine looked at the crowd and explained. It's better to let her follow us. After all, she is relatively familiar with the Ice and Fire Island. Xiao Yang defended him. Okay, but if you make trouble, we will be the first to forgive you. Yu Ifeng said fiercely to Luine. Big brother, thank you. Luine jumped to Xiao Yang's side and smiled. There seems to be something particularly terrifying on this guy. Luine just got close to Xiao Yang, and suddenly felt an inexplicable and tyrannical pressure hit. She couldn't help but take a few steps back. Let's go. After everyone said a word, they went straight to the 9th floor. Ice and Fire Island, in the 3rd layer guardian space. Eagle, why did you trespass into my territory without authorization? At the top of the huge mountain range, a splendid cave stood out, and in the cave, an angry voice that could see the world slowly swept through this space. Respected king, I have something to tell you. The people who broke into the Ice and Fire Island this time seem to have come to a few interesting people. The Black Shadow, who was suddenly called an eagle, said slowly. This Black Shadow is actually the same as a human being, but the dark aura on its body is too strong, so ordinary people can't find it. Interesting person? The creature in the cave heard the words, but the angry voice slowly quieted down, because it was clear that it could be called an interesting human being by the eagle in front of it, so it would definitely not be a simple human being. Because this eagle is the guardian of the 4th floor, his strength has reached the peak. There are 7 of them, one of them is of the light system, and should be a member of the Holy See, and I see that the girl's aura is not weak, and it should be a very important person in the Holy See. The black figure said. People from the Holy See? The voice in the cave opened slowly, and the voice was full of shock. Although the name and strength of the Holy See is not in the ghost world, but in the human world, its strength is also one of the best in the entire Great Thousand World. There is another person worth noting. He has a very hot aura. I guess that should be Holy Flame. The eagle-mouthed man spoke slightly, his voice full of enthusiasm. Holy Flame. When the eagle-mouthed man said this, the creatures in the cave suddenly collapsed, and the space shook violently. As the guardian of the 3rd floor, he is one of the best kings in the Ice and Fire Island, but he has some dark diseases in his body, which can only be cured by Holy Flame. If one of the guys who entered Ice and Fire Island this trip really possesses Holy Flame, then his injury can be solved. Although this guy is only at the early stage of 1-star fighting immortal, there seems to be something hidden in his body that can make me feel uneasy. The eagle-mouth figure pondered. Well, the next moment, the creatures in the cave lost their voices after hearing the words of the black figure. Do I need to tell the king on the 1st and 2nd floors? Looking at the contemplative situation in the cave, the hawk-mouthed man couldn't help but say. Don't rush to tell them first. After all, the guy on the 1st floor is a lunatic. When he was mentioned to the guy on the 1st and 2nd floors, even as the guardian of the 3rd floor, this guy still had lingering fears. Go back, don't tell anyone about this. I have my own way, and after it's done, I won't treat you badly. The huge creature in the cave spoke slowly. Yes. The eagle-mouthed man heard the words and disappeared back to his 4th floor in an instant. The guy on the 1st floor, I remember that he was the subordinate of the Lord of Soul Eater. When the Lord of Soul Eater disappeared, all the spearheads pointed to the Lord of Soul Lee. This guy knew that he couldn't beat the Lord of Soul Lee, but he still ignored it. For this reason, he slaughtered a lot of strong people in Lee Soul domain, and finally provoked the Lord of Lee Soul to take action, and he was directly arrested and imprisoned here. But why is there a vague sense of unease in my heart? Is it an illusion? There was a voice of doubt in the cave. On the other side, Xiao Yang's figure of 8 people also came to the 9th floor to guard the space where they were. The guardian space on the 9th floor is different from the 10th floor. This time it turned out to be a circular space. The space is filled with countless huge rocks, and each rock seems to have a trace of strange power. Even these rocks seem to be chaotic, but according to Xiao Yang's perception, there is a certain pattern. Arranged together, the whole space stretched for thousands of miles, but it was completely surrounded by khaki rocks, as if there was an invisible pressure permeating everyone's heart. What is this? Just after entering the strange space on the 9th floor, Yu Xiaoye suddenly felt that her strength was being suppressed, and a heavy touch appeared in her heart. Be careful, if I expected it right, this should be a formation. The next moment, Xiao Yang's eyes became deep, and he stared intently at a certain place in the space, where there seemed to be slight energy fluctuations. Boom! And under Xiao Yang's actions, the boulder that was standing quietly, actually moved slowly. No, hurry up! When Xiao Yang saw these boulders moving, he couldn't help but shout. Because of Xiao Yang's huge soul power, he was placed on top of the arrangement of these rocks, and he felt a huge pressure. Xiao Yang did not dare to doubt that if they were imprisoned by this formation, the situation for all of them would be quite dangerous. This video will end here.